Beyond's mind raced. Her hands trembled as she returned the phone to Obiora. She wanted to speak, to form words that made sense, but the weight of emotions choked her. "I need time," she finally whispered. Without waiting for his response, she stepped out of the car and shut the door behind her. That night, she wept bitterly before God. "Did I not hear you correctly? Did I make a mistake?" Doubts flooded her heart. She questioned everything, her ability to discern God's will, Obiora's sincerity, and whether she was rushing into something doomed to fail. By morning, she made a hard decision. She needed distance from Obiora, from Enugu, from everything that reminded her of him. She requested a transfer back to Lagos, sought counseling, and buried herself in serving God. Healing took time, but in his presence she found comfort. Meanwhile, Obiora was breaking too. For years, he had carried a secret struggle with pornography, a habit he picked up in his senior days at boarding school. Ashamed, he tried to fight it alone, religiously, desperately, but the chains were never broke. Losing Biodun was a wake-up call, and for the first time he saw the truth. Sin thrives in secrecy, but that wasn't all. God unearthed a deeper flaw in Obiora's heart, his misplaced trust in men. He had always believed that connections and favors would pave his way forward. When his senior colleague promised him a job and later failed him, the disappointment was crushing. It forced him to surrender completely, to stop leaning on people and start leaning on God. Seeking help, he joined the men's fellowship, where he found mentorship and accountability. He also confided in a Christian friend in the UK who worked with him through Bible study and prayer. Slowly, he began to see real change, not just in behavior but in his heart. 3 months passed. One morning, as Biodun prayed during a quiet time, the Holy Spirit led her to Jeremiah 18:4. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hand, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. The verse greeted her. She had been holding on to her own plans, resisting God's shaping, but just as he was molding her, he was also molding Obiora. They had been broken, but God was making something new. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Lord, I'm open to your will for my life." That same morning, Obiora felt an undeniable nudge to call her. He hesitated, his fingers hovering over the screen, but then with a deep breath, he dialed. Biodun's heart skipped as she heard his voice. "Hello, Biodun," he said softly. "I am sorry, the Lord has delivered me, and I am on my journey." She inhaled deeply. "God has done a work in me too. I forgive you, Obiora. I would like to see you," he said, uncertain. He paused, then, "Okay." A week later, they met. Obiora traveled from Enugu to Lagos. At a quiet cafe, they sat across from each other, not as two people forcing a love story, but as two hearts yielded to the potter's hands. They sought counseling together, built a stronger foundation on Christ, and eventually set a date for their wedding. Not because everything was perfect, but because they had learned to trust the one who shapes all things beautifully in his time. And so their story continued, not as two people who had it all figured out, but as two clay vessels surrendered in the hands of the potter.